All right, so we're live now on YouTube. All right, so we're live now on YouTube. Okay, so we can share our screen now too. All right, so we're looking at the chain of thought prompting from our last class, and we said that the chain of thought prompting is where we have to be able to break the thoughts are prompt into steps. So for example, if I say that Margaret has 5 tennis balls, okay, if I say Margaret has 5 tennis balls and she buys 2 more cans of tennis balls, all right, each can has, let's say, 3 balls. Okay, so I can say how many tennis balls does Margaret have now? So you see, this is an example of zero-shot chain of thought prompting. All right, so if you remember, in that last class, I told us that we have 2 ways to implement chain of thought. It's either you're using the zero-shot chain of thought, that zero-shot Cohort, where we just add phrases and we allow it think step by step. You trying to work out something step by step just to ensure that we have the right answer. You try to explain the reasoning first, to the end of your prompt. So that's actually zero-shot chain of thought. So if you watch what I just did, it's a chain of thought. All right. Margaret has 5 tennis balls. That's one thought. She buys 2 more cans of tennis ball. Another thought. Each can has 3 balls. That's another thought. Then how many tennis? So that's a very good example of zero-shot. But if you remember, when we looked at zero-shot on its own, we said in zero-shot it's direct. You just hit the stuff direct, nothing more. All right. So I want you to look at something like this. So you will see the difference. This one is just a basic chain of thought. Please, I really want you to understand something. This one is a basic chain of thought. All right, so you can see, a basic zero-shot prompting, just a basic zero-shot prompting. So we just put things, but if you're looking at it, it looks like chain of thought. And that's why I don't want you to mistake it. So it says Margaret has 5 tennis balls. She buys 2 more cans of tennis balls each. So it looks as if it's a chain of thought, but it's actually your basic zero-shot prompting. And somehow this might not even give you the correct answer of what we're looking for. All right, until we will now make it the zero-shot chain of thought. Just follow me through. So this is like your basic zero-shot prompting. Just your basic zero-shot prompting. So you can see Margaret starts with 5 tennis balls, blah, blah, blah. Step 1, how many balls are in the cans? You can see. Step 2, add them. Margaret now has 11 tennis balls, something like that. All right. So the idea generally here is that we want to be able to get the correct answer. All right. And This basic zero shot prompt you just did, like I said, may or may not give you the correct answer because you have different steps. So the best thing is to adopt the chain of thought prompting. It is still zero shot, but then we will be able to try to reason something entirely different. Okay, we'll try to reason something entirely different. Okay, so let's if I let me copy that. Let's copy this. So I can put this here and simply ask it to, let's say, so we can ask it to, let's think step by step. All right, so you can see, yeah, the similar answer, though lucky us, but then you can see this is what happens now with chain of thought prompting, because in this case, we want to be able to tell it, hey, whatever I've given to you, I want you to take it step by step, like step by step, and get a very serious result as such, okay? So generally, what I want you to get is that there are times when you have certain, you want to do certain prompts and you want to be able to break it down into steps. And you want to also be able to tell your LMM to think, in steps to give you the kind of results that you are looking for. Okay, just to give you the kind of result that you're looking for. All right, so let's take another example, I guess. Okay, so I'm trying to put something together in my head is to make you understand that when you're faced with a very um, serious logical prompt, pay attention to breaking it down into phases, into steps. You'll be very good with that. It's not every time you want to mumble things together. It's not every time you want to mumble things together. So sometimes you just have to be able to break it down into phases, into steps, and say this one happened, then this one, just like that, so that it can follow that sequence, read it through, and give you a very good result. All right. Now, another type of strategy we talked about was self-consistency. Now, in the self-consistency strategy, it is actually, like I mentioned, is a technique used in conjunction with chain of thought. Here you want to generate multiple chain of thought responses to the same prompt. You want to generate multiple chain of thought response to the same prompt, and and then you begin to select the most frequent or final answer. I mentioned to you that uh, if by any means, that you generate the same prompt like multiple times, like 3, 5, or more times, if you notice anything that is consistent, you begin to choose the answer that appears most frequently. Okay, like most frequently. So even if, for example, let me see, even if, for example, I begin to let me say I do this again. Yeah, so in this case, the answer is just consistent. So this example of self-consistency. So the same prompt, I've run it again the second time. Now I'm running it again the third time. Okay, so yeah, so I have a consistent answer. This is what we mean by self-consistency. So that situation where you can run a prompt, several times. You can run a prompt several times, and then you check out really what has happened. If there is anything common, you pick that as okay, I think this will be the most likely answer. And that is what we mean by self-consistency. So there are cases, what this simply means is that there are times you might have to run some prompts over again, 2 or 3 times more, just to be able to see if what is thinking is consistent, right? If what is thinking is consistent. Okay. All right, sorry, I was trying to respond to a message. So the general idea is that using self-consistency, you will be able to observe that, okay, this guy is consistent, this particular answer is coming out all the time. What can we do? So you get a response, and you check that response again and see if it really does make sense. Okay. All right. So the next thing is the generated knowledge prompting. That's the next type, generated knowledge prompting. But before I go to that, would anyone want that I give you like some sort of something that looks like steps, like the step in self-consistency? I can give you like 3 or 4 steps. If you want, you can say yes in the comment section. I would like to do that. Okay. Oh, who are those whose mics are on? Let me mute them, please. Sorry. Okay. So please, I'm asking if you want me to do that, say yes. So that okay. Sorry, I can see. Okay. So let me give you the steps. Step 1, generate 3 to 5 different reasoning paths. Generate 3 to 5 reasoning paths. Generate 3 to 5 reasoning paths. That's number 1. Number 2, solve the problem in each part. 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 Number 3, compare the answers. Compare the answers. Compare the answers. Then select the most consistent answer. Okay, so the stuff I gave to you now, please listen. The stuff I gave to you now, you can also use it to prompt. Okay, you can also use it to prompt. Different result. Let me give an example. Someone should help me type out those 4 things I said now so that I can just copy from the comment section. Okay, let me see. All right, thank you. Okay, Jomene, thank you so much. Jomene, thank you. Thank you, Isaac Nandi as well. Thank you, Favor. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Dunde Barikuma. Thank you. I really appreciate this. Noble, thank you as well. Divinus, thank you. Margaret, thank you. Akudo, thank you. Oliver, thank you. All right. So thank you everyone who responded to that. Okay. So I have what I'm looking for. So I can create something like this. I can create something like this. For example, I can actually, I can ask it to act as a digital marketing strategist. Act as a digital marketing strategist. Use the self-consistency. Use the self-consistency strategy. Use the self-consistency strategy. So let me put up that stuff here. So let me be very direct. I'll ask you to generate, let me use 4. So I'll say generate 4 reasoning parts. Okay. Then I will ask you to solve so okay, so let me say generate 4 reasoning paths. Let's be specific. Let's use something specific. Let's say for the best marketing, marketing strategy for selling let's say perfume. So we have a couple of people that sells perfume online. So I want to be specific and I say Nigeria. All right. So I'll ask you to solve these problems, solve this problem in each part. Okay, compare the answers. And I'll ask you to select the most consistent answer. So let me, since I'm using marketing strategy, I can say let's so solve the problem. So I can ask you to explain the thoughts behind each strategy. Okay, so I think that makes sense. You know, I can also ask it, instead of compare the answers, I can ask you to now compare the strategies. Then maybe we can say select the most consistent and realistic strategy. So now I'm done. If you like, let me, I'll rework this prompt, but let me just show you something. So look at it. This is 1, influencer plus social proof strategy. This is 2, content and education strategy. This is 3, WhatsApp commerce strategy. This is 4, niche positioning strategy. Remember, I asked it to do 4. Now it has done 4. It is comparing it, like I said, most consistent, realistic strategy. Look at what is done. So recommended funnel, step 1, step 2, and all of that. So this is what I mean. So you could use this type of script so it can do different things and then also give you the best outcome. So you can do different things and it will also give you the best outcome. All right. Oliver has helped us to type in this stuff we just did now. So it's in the comment section. So the idea is that it should be able to generate multiple reasoning paths and then take the consensus answer for increased confidence. So it takes the consensus answer. Please stop writing on the screen. I don't know, but all right. Let's look at number 3. Let's look at number 3, generated knowledge prompting. So this technique involves where we prompt the LMM to first generate relevant facts or background information about a topic before attempting to answer the actual question or perform the main task. All right, so for you to implement it, you can use the two-step approach, where you generate some facts and then you now ask it using those facts that is generated to answer a particular question that you give to it, okay? Let me see. Let me give us an example. Oh God, please, sorry, let me reshare the screen because these drawings are not for me, so. Okay. So, let me do something like this. I want to say generate four key facts about the breeding habits of crocodiles. All right, so this is just simple. Maybe I want to do something, I want to write something about crocodiles, but you can see that I'm doing something around the breeding habits. So this breeding habits gives me something. Look at it. So it has given me a basic information. That's why it's called general knowledge prompting. It has given me an information that I need. Now I can ask it to say, using these facts, compare the breeding habits of crocodile with that of sea lion. All right, so I'm now using the fact it has given to me. I'm asking to use that fact it has given to me to get me results. All right, that's just general knowledge prompting. And like I told you, it's one of the prompting I would like you guys to get very used to, especially at this stage, where you don't just leave everything about your thinking and all of that. You don't leave it completely to AI. You're able to go to AI and say, okay, I want to know how this thing works. And you begin to prompt and ask the right kind of questions. Once you do that, the result you're going to get will be super, super amazing. Okay, the result you will get will be super, super amazing. So you lay the foundation, you get some facts, you read through it, and you can now know some things. So even from that, you begin to prompt and build on that knowledge as such. The idea is that you want to be able to have the AI generate relevant factual context first, to so that the foundation on which it has built the subsequent reasoning or answer that is going to be generating for you. Okay, that's it. So you have chain of thought where you ask it something in batches. You have self-consistency where you ask it to generate something different times, or you generate something different times and pick which one is consistent. But you're human. That's why I gave you this last prompt I gave earlier on. You're human, so you might not even be able to immediately point out what is consistent, especially if what was generated is very large. So that's why you can prompt it and ask it to generate, 4 different reasoning parts, 5 different reasoning parts of what you want to do, and then let it compare the results, let it pick out the one that is consistent over time and give you results. Okay, so that's how that particular guy works. Okay, so there is something I would like to show us very quickly. So let me see if I can. There are just amazing stuff right there. So let me share my screen back to this. So let me run us through this maybe in the next 30 minutes. So troubleshooting common prompting problems. So there are a whole lot of problems in prompting, but you must learn how to troubleshoot it. Okay, you must learn how to troubleshoot it. I want you to pay attention to what I want to explain here, because I will need you to write down for me 5 things you learned from this. Like I told you, this class is very important to me. 5 things you're learning from this particular thing I want to teach now. Okay, 5 things you learned from this. This class is so important because that's what's holding our project list. So some persons have been able to make it up to 3 classes. We expect that if they are here today, they'll make it to 4. Some have been able to do 3. Some persons went back to YouTube, watched, and then they're even sharing what they're doing on socials and all of that. So that's amazing. So, let's say that you've crafted a prompt by applying all these principles and techniques that we've been discussing since last week. And then you eventually hit enter. You run your API call and you're actually expecting an answer. And especially now that you believe that you're a prompt engineer, you expect that, your results will come out good. And all of a sudden, you still get a vague answer, for example, or you get something off, or you get something incorrect, or even maybe the AI refuses to give you anything. So we're saying that you don't have to get discouraged. That's what makes you a prompt engineer. It is normal. It is actually a normal part of the process. So prompt engineering is not guaranteeing that, okay, everything will be right on the first try all the time. It's always about how ready you are to understand why a prompt did not work and knowing how to fix it. Remember, that's why you are an engineer. An engineer that believes that everything is just supposed to be working is not an engineer. All right, an engineer will be able to know that, this thing is not working, and I'll be able to help fix it. That's what makes that person an engineer as well. So we're looking at these issues, and the first thing you're seeing there is vague or ambiguous prompt. Vague. So the prompt is very vague. Sorry, the output is very vague. And you'll be wondering, okay, I've done everything to make sure that my output is not vague. And you look at your prompt, you feel like, no, my prompt is not. So what are the symptoms if you have a vague or ambiguous output? What are the symptoms? So we're saying now, just like if you're studying medicine, maybe they say these are the symptoms of malaria, these are the symptoms of this, these are the symptoms of that. So what are the symptoms of a vague or ambiguous output? Number 1 is that the AI response is generic, very generic. It lacks detail. So you just know that this output is vague. This output is vague. And if as a prompt engineer, you cannot immediately even dictate a vague output that someone got, you're missing it, especially what we've done so far. All right, you're missing it. So the good thing is that you know now that the conversation is not that whether AI gave you result or not. It is not also a question of what he gave me, I was satisfied. No. That would be a very big error. And why it's an error is because you're not willing to expand your knowledge. You're just saying whatever it gives to me, as long as okay, it's fine. Now, if he's using very fuzzy language and avoid specifics, that's another symptom. If the output feels like a weak summary when you wanted in-depth analysis, that's a vague output. And if it doesn't capture the nuance you intended, it doesn't contain the things you were actually looking out for, the main things, that's actually a problem. Those are symptoms. And what could have been the causes? These are the symptoms. It could be that the prompt lacked specificity, like we mentioned in our principles earlier on, I think day 1 or day 2. So it means that they use very vague terms, very vague verbs, very vague nouns. It could also be that the prompt lacked insufficient context. It could be that the prompt lacked insufficient context. It could also be that the prompt itself did not contain a desired output format. We did not mention that this is how we want the output to look like, right? If we had done something like that, then maybe. So when you see the symptoms, you have to also look at what could have caused it, all right? So you can now begin to say, okay, should we increase the specificity? Should we be very clear? Okay, for example, should we remove, there are generic terms like things, which one again? Come on now, stuff, analyze. There are terms like that are very generic. You can decide to be very precise, to say things like customer feedback data instead of just saying stuff like let's analyze stuff about the customer. All right, we could just hit it straight and say customer feedback data. We can say things like key performance indicators. So we could hit it straight and define terms, because maybe it's an industry. The term can mean something to you in your industry or even in your company that people don't actually know. There are terms we use at Harvard Tech Hub that you don't know, that you might not know what it means to us. But if I say it, my guys will understand that, oh, this is what he's talking about. All right. So you have to, if you're using such term, you have to, I'll give you an example. Someone in the US is writing something and the person decides to say, what should I say now? Okay, let's say the person decides to say tech up as one word. It will mean something entirely different to that person. This is the truth. It will mean something different. So there will be need for that person to be able to explain what you mean by tech up. Because the person must have built a product to call it tech up. Why here to us, oh, tech up is an event and all of that. So there will be need most times for you to break it down and be very specific, add more context, all right? Refine that instruction. And if possible, use few short example. Remember, few short. We talked about few short prompting. So you know if you use few short prompting to get result, okay? Now, another problem that you face is the off-topic or relevant responses. Now, what are the symptoms? The AI starts answering correctly, but then drifts into unrelated subjects. Do you see that? It was just giving you something correct, all of a sudden it just enter another thing. Or it introduces information you didn't ask for and ignores key parts of your request. It's giving you something you did not even ask for those ones, and it's leaving out the main things that you asked for. Or it seems to misunderstand the main focus of your prompt. These are the symptoms. These are the symptoms. And you also need to ask yourself, oh, what could have caused those kind of things? All right. And it simply means that maybe one of the causes could be that the scope of the prompt is too broad. The scope of the prompt is too, you have a very broad scope, or it contains conflicting information. So imagine that you're talking about, on one hand, you're trying to talk about Nigeria, and then you talk about South Africa, and probably, and maybe it was a mistake, so you could have conflicting information. You can have conflicting information. All right. Number two is that key instructions or constraints probably were not clearly stated. So remember what we talked about constraints. So constraints here will play a very great role so that you can be able to put it on check and make it focus on the things that you want. All right. It could also be that the AI just ran into a minor keyword and overemphasized it. So there is a keyword in your prompt that it just latched onto and begin to overemphasize it. That could be another cause. And it is safe to say that in very long conversations, the AI might have forgotten earlier instructions due to context window limits, which we talked about, I think, in day 1 or day 2. All right. So as a result of context window, you must have forgotten earlier conversations that you had. So that could be the issue. So some of the things that you need to do, you already know, will be to narrow down your prompts. You narrow down the scope of your prompt, all right? So that you can reinforce your key constraints. Oh, Kevin said, why didn't you generate facts for sea lions? No, Kevin, no problem, sir. No problem. The thing is, maybe the assumption is that maybe I know enough already about sea lions, right? But it's also okay to generate facts about sea lions and then go ahead and do it. So it's no problem at all. That question is very brilliant. Please, Kevin is asking with respect to the question, the example we did about the crocodile, the prompt we wrote about the crocodile. Yeah, so the assumption is that maybe I know enough about sea lions already. I want to make this comparison with crocodiles. So I needed to get some facts first about crocodiles before I do that. Thank you. All right. So you should be able to make your content very solid so that you can get good results. Then number 3 talks about refusals or as an AI issues. That is what we're saying there is that the AI explicitly refuses the request. All right, often citing safety, ethics, or its limitations as an AI, e.g., it can tell you that I cannot provide an opinion, it can tell you that I cannot generate harmful content, right? So in that case, we call it refusals or as an AI issues. We call it refusals or as an AI issues. And this happens normally when your intent feels when your intent feels harmless or purely informational. Okay, so your intention could be that you're feeling very harmless, and you just want an information. Okay, but you're getting that response. So many things could cause that. It could be that the prompt inadvertently triggered a safety filter. All right, so there are keywords that are added for safety. At the early stages, young boys committed suicide just by chatting with an LMM. So it was chatting with the AI, and it's as if, the AI at the time, or like, you can come over to me and all of that. He started doing stuff about committing suicide, and the AI was guiding him how he can commit suicide and all of those, and eventually committed suicide. All right, with the hope of going to meet the love of his life. And I just wonder the kind of flogging devil will flog that guy here. You will know himself, you know. Yeah, so yeah. However, this is also where prompting comes very handy. This is where prompting comes very handy. Most times, some prompt engineers are so good that they can be able to subtly and brilliantly get out those informations from AI in between context, in between write-ups, that you will not even be able to figure out that that's what's going on. Okay. So if the request actually border on sensitive, ethical, and all that harmful topics, even slightly, it could give you that. Most times too, if the prompt is highly ambiguous and could be interpreted negatively, by the safety system, then all that. So one of the things you need to do is you can rephrase the prompt to be a little bit neutral. You can also check the content policy. All right. Just check the content policy, and you can you can actually clarify why you're asking. All right. You can start by trying to, that's why I say some prompt engineers are so good that they can manipulate the system as much as possible. So you could actually clarify what you're asking and make your intent look very innocent. For example, I think we're trying to work on something, and then at the end of the day, we encountered this issue, so we needed to start going around doing things like asking it to generate examples of, let's say, fictional dialogue for a screenplay, where, so it was as if we were writing a script. It was as if we were, trying to add drama and all of that. And that alone, okay, Carol Chinenye says she can't hear me. Please, guys, confirm if you can hear me so we know if it's his or her network. All right, Michael Austin. Okay, thank you. Zia says she can hear me. Jomeni can hear me. Thank you. Thank you, Esther. All right, thank you. Amazing. Abbas Nana, thank you. I'm excited about your consistency. Well done. All right. So yeah. So we had to like play around it, like, okay, we wanted to do something like a screenplay kind of thing, and before we know it, we got the data we're looking for. Again, you can focus on the action or information. Just ask it to analyze, ask it to summarize, and all of that, So, okay. So I think there is another one, number 4. Oh, I don't have it there. I think it was 4. Let me confirm. Yeah, it was 4. The last one is dealing with hallucinations. Dealing with hallucinations. Okay, so I think one of the symptoms for that one, the number 4, is the AI confidently states fast that are demonstrably false, right? Like, they are false, especially when compared to what you're asking. Okay, it invents sources, citations, statistics, or details. Now it's just inventing sources and all of that. It can mix. Another symptom is that it's mixing real information with fabricated content. All right, it's just fabricating things. Now, all of this can happen, but the major cause, please listen, when it comes to me, they say DeepSeek. See, I did not call any AI name. Me, they respect yourself. So, um, some of the courses will be that the element optimized for plausibility, not truth. Okay, like they generate tests that statistically follows a pattern in their training data, not based on information. So it means in general, we're saying that the element was not properly trained. That's one thing. Now, it also can be that the training data has a cutoff date. All right. So in this case, the AI does not know recent events unless specifically provided. All right. So most times, that could be the issue. So the AI is not updated. Like it has what we call a cutoff date, and now it's not aware of what's going on. It could also be that the prompt might have accidentally led the AI towards an incorrect assumption. It's possible that your prompt would have led it that way. Okay, so some of the things is when you want to troubleshoot is very critical. So you always verify. You know, we can't stress this enough because we always tell everyone, please don't blindly trust factual claims made by LMMs. Okay, use reliable external sources like academic journals, reputable news outlets, and all of that to be able to fact check whatever you've gotten. Okay, you have to provide grounding context. Okay, more like including known accurate facts or data directly within your prompt. So most times, if there are facts you already know, provide it so that even if he's thinking of hallucinating, he knows that, okay, you've already known this fact and all of that. Okay, you can also adopt the generated knowledge prompting, where you can begin by asking it questions first, gradually to see even how much it knows and all of that. Okay, so you can as well cross-reference and all of that. Okay. So there is something, I'm going to check it tomorrow in the copy of my book. All right. Once I'll check it tomorrow, I'll get a copy of my book and I'll check it. I know that in my book, I provided, what's it called? Some very powerful prompts that you need to save in your prompt to help you, get out the best from whatever you want to prompt. Okay, I will look for it, and what I'm going to do is that I'm going to bring out like 1, 2, or 3, compile it so that you guys can have it. Okay, like I told you from the beginning of the training, we didn't set up this training because in between we now say, oh, go and buy book. No, in short, most of you that will get the prompt engineering handbook later, you'll be amazed that most of the things we even taught here were not contained in the book. Okay, so yeah, I will do that. I wish I had it so that I can give you an example. I mean, we did that book since last year. It took us weeks. It was crazy. I'll give you an example. Just give me a minute. Let me put my thoughts together. Okay. Okay, so we could do something. You could write a prompt that says, one, before this is, you've not started writing any prompt. You want to give it, just hold on. Let me get, I think there's a soft copy of that book here in my phone. Just give me a minute. Let me get it. So that will even make sense. Okay. All right. So I've seen this. Let me read it out. Let me read it out to also you see. So this is a prompt, right? And I want to put this prompt before I even now write any other thing. Do you understand? So something like use clear, simple sentences, arrange thoughts with bullet points, separate lines often to avoid clutter, write using active structure, focus on actions the reader can take, support ideas with facts, stories, or real examples, ask questions that create pause or reflection, speak directly to the reader, stay away from idioms or poetic phrasing, don't say always or never, stick to what's accurate. Drop transitions like finally or to wrap up. No need for extra comments or side notes. Deliver only the essentials. Keep it straight and simple. Change up how you say it. Don't copy the word in here. Don't use any of these words or phrases. Listen, no, don't use any of these words or phrases. Accordingly, additionally, arguably, certainly, consequently, hence, however, indeed, moreover, nevertheless, nonetheless, notwithstanding, thoughts, undoubtedly, adept, commendable, dynamic, efficient, ever evolving, exciting, exemplary, innovative, invaluable, robust, seamless, synergistic, thought-provoking, transformative, utmost vibrant, vital, efficiency, innovation, institution, integration, implementation, landscape optimization, ring, tapestry, transformation, aligns, augment, delve, embark, facilitate, maximize, underscores, utilize, a testament in conclusion, a testament to, in conclusion, in summary. So I'm asking it not to use any of these words, right? I'm asking not to use any of these words. Then I can now come under and write my prompt, like what I want it to do. So these things I wrote above it is going to guide it. Okay, this thing I wrote above it is going to guide it to simple. There's another one there I have. This is another one. I said, keep your sentences crisp and easy to read. Use bullets to structure your ideas. Hit enter often. Let each idea breathe. Make your subject the doer in every sentence and a whole lot of stuff. Okay, and I also went down to tell it the things that I wanted to avoid. Okay. So like I said, I will bring out one or two or three of those, put it together and share with you. I think in that book I had about 10 of them. Yeah. Okay, so let me look at this number 8. I said, don't accept what I say without digging deeper. Yeah, I had to create this prompt after I went to a church to speak sometime last year. And I think the assistant pastor asked me something very intriguing. The moment I left that event, I came back, I was still writing this book, and I had to create this prompt. So I asked it, don't accept what I say without digging deeper. When I give an opinion or theory, question what I'm assuming. Is it well-founded? Bring in a challenging voice. What might an what's it called now? Your element might just want to be agreeing with you. So I said, prioritize insights, not agreement. Don't protect my ego, protect the truth. Be a constructive challenger, help refine, not just respond. Point out bias if it's there. Keep us both intellectually honest, right? Keep us both intellectually honest. So you can see that. All right, keep us both intellectually honest. All right, and that is me trying as much as I can to, get the best out of my AI. So like I said, I will copy one or two of those or three of those and share with you. There is another one I have there that says, don't echo me, challenge me. Every time I present a concept, examine the foundations. Am I assuming too much? Argue from a counterpoint. What does the opposition sound like? Investigate the reasoning. Where does it break or jump too far? Offer fresh viewpoints. Could someone else see this differently? If I'm wrong, show me plainly. Don't soften the truth. Be fair but tough. This is about getting it right, not feeling right. Call out any blind spots or sloppy logic. Let's make the thinking stronger. Can you see that? So these are the things you can put first before you now write your prompt. All right, before you now write your prompt. That way, you're controlling it. And if you're really the one that wants to get the best of result, not just you, the AI, just agree whatever you say, those. So we get all of that. All right, guys. Please, sorry, I gotta go. Please go and check your timeline. Go and check your timeline, everyone. Go and check your timeline. Those of us that were supposed to finish up our business section, please, tomorrow, 8 p.m., we're meeting. I still remember everyone that were there, from Eunice down to everyone. So we're finishing up that section. All your questions, will answer it. All of you that we couldn't answer your question that day, we'll answer it, and then we'll have clarity on that. But check your timelines. We'll continue from there, guys. Do have a wonderful evening. I need to run. And trust me, this has been a very, very wonderful section. And get ready. Let's get ready. Yeah, someone said let's join too. No problem. You can join in. You can join in. So let's make this beautiful. Let's make this amazing for everyone. I will see you guys on the other side. Go and check the timeline. All the details about AI challenge, everything. We're having the orientation. All right. So feel free to prepare. We're gonna have the next phase of this training is gonna be interesting, but it will stretch you. It will stretch you. So I wish you all the best. All the details about the grouping, I think it's on the 11th. So I will see you on the other side. Do have a wonderful evening. Good night.